For years, I stayed quiet. And it wasn't because I didn't have any opinions or dreams or perspectives or emotions. It was actually because I felt like it was safer. Safer not to disappoint anyone, or to avoid disappointing people. Safer to avoid conflict. Safer to be who everyone else wanted me to be. And if you're anything like the women I work with, you know exactly what that might feel like. Today, I want to share how I found my voice after years of silence and how you can too. Looking back, I don't think I lost my voice. I think it was something that I learned that wasn't safe to use. Growing up, there were times where I felt unheard. There were times where I felt extremely misunderstood by the people around me. I often felt like people made assumptions about who I was before even getting or taking the time to get to know me and the real me at my core. At school, I was bullied for being different, for my skin, for the way I spoke, for my hair, and for standing out. Even at home and around my family and at church, there were comments about my weight, the way I spoke, the way I carried myself. Sometimes the messages weren't direct, but sometimes they actually were. I'd hear things like, "You think you're better than us? Get off your high horse." And when you hear things like that from people you love, it really does something to you. Because the truth is, I never thought that I was better than anyone. Anyone. I was a kid who loved reading, who loved writing, who loved dreaming, who loved dancing, skating, playing tag, freeze tag, all the tags. That was your girl. I was curious about the world around me, but instead of feeling understood, I often felt judged for being different. And when you feel misunderstood long enough, you start to question yourself. You start wondering if you should just be less, if you're too much, if you're doing the most, which are things that I heard a lot. You wonder if you should be less outspoken, less ambitious, less visible. So little by little, I learned to shrink myself. And it didn't happen all at once, right? This is a gradual process. And I did just enough to make other people around me feel very comfortable. The problem is that when you spend years shrinking yourself, eventually you forget how much space you were actually truly created to take up. And that's exactly what happened to me. I became quieter. I became a people pleaser. I focused on what everyone else needed while ignoring my needs and what wanted and what I desired. I stayed silent when something bothered me. I didn't want any smoke, so to speak. I didn't want any conflict. I struggled to advocate for myself. I convinced myself that my needs, my opinions, and my desires weren't as important as everyone else around me. And eventually I realized I hadn't just stopped using my voice, I stopped trusting it too. And finding my voice wasn't about becoming louder. It wasn't about learning to trust myself. It was about learning to trust myself again. That's huge. Learning to trust what God already placed inside of me. Learning that I could be loving and honest, kind and clear, compassionate, but still have my boundaries. That was the beginning of me finding my voice. Hey sis, listen, welcome back to Becoming Her. I am Stacy Crawley and I help faith-driven women reconnect with who they are, reclaim their purpose, their worth, and everything that God created them to be. Over here, we have honest conversations on a weekly basis about faith, confidence, boundaries, and walking boldly in our purpose. And if you've ever felt like you've been shrinking yourself, silencing yourself, and losing yourself in the process of keeping everyone else around you happy, this conversation is for you. Let's get right into it. Losing yourself doesn't usually happen, or usually happens slowly. It doesn't happen fast. It's little by little, piece by piece. Things just chipping away at you consistently. And you don't realize it until it kind of all comes together. Most women don't wake up and decide to abandon ourselves. I know I didn't. It happens gradually. You stop saying what you need, or questioning what do I need, right? You stop expressing how you feel. You start prioritizing everyone else's comfort around you. And eventually you stop paying attention to your own needs, your own desires, your own wants, your own dreams. And every time I ignored my truth to keep someone else happy, I became a little bit quieter. I shrunk more. And maybe you've done the same thing. Silence often feels like safety. For many women, silence becomes a survival strategy. Maybe speaking up led to criticism. Maybe it led to conflict. Maybe it was unwelcomed. So you learn to stay quiet. And for a season that may have protected you, but what once protected you may now be keeping you stuck. Because the habits that help us survive don't always help us thrive in life. Finding your voice starts with listening to yourself. Before I could speak up to others, I had to become honest with myself. That was a hard road. I had to really, really dive deep, and I had to think about, what do I actually want? What makes me happy? What do I need? I had to think about, what am I afraid to say out loud? Why am I pretending to be something I'm not? Why am I pretending that things don't bother me? Why am I seeking other people's validation? Why? You cannot express a voice you stopped listening to. Finding your voice begins by paying attention, right, to what you've been ignoring. So your voice doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. It does not. One of the biggest misconceptions about finding your voice is believing that you need to become louder for people to hear it. That is not true. Okay. At least I know it wasn't for me. Finding your voice doesn't mean becoming aggressive. It doesn't mean becoming confrontational or becoming someone you're not. It's becoming honest. Your voice becomes powerful the moment it becomes authentic. Your authentic voice, you. Okay. Some of the strongest women that I know are some of the most gentle women that I know. Okay. But they're very clear, they're honest, they're direct, and they have boundaries. And they no longer abandon themselves just to make other people feel comfortable around them. Because frankly, if you don't feel comfortable around me, and I know for a fact I'm not doing anything to you to harm you or intentionally hurt you, then that's a personal problem. I'm definitely realizing that. God didn't create you to disappear. This is something I wish more faith-driven women understood, is that God never asked you to disappear. He never asked you to silence yourself, to shrink yourself, to put yourself under a bushel. That's a reference in the Bible. He never asked you to abandon yourself or the person he created you to be. Somewhere along the line, many women confuse humility with self-abandonment. Okay. But they're not the same thing. You can be kind and still have boundaries with people. You can still let people know what you're willing and not willing to accept. Okay. And you have the ability to set consequences when people don't adhere to your boundaries. I don't care who they are. Okay. You can serve others and still honor yourself. You can be compassionate and still speak the truth. In many ways, this is one of the reasons why I wrote my book, Becoming Her. Okay. I'll link this below. Because Becoming Her isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to the woman God created you to be, before the fear, before the people pleasing, before the validation seeking, before needing someone to approve of who you are. Okay. It's about returning to the woman God created you to be. Your voice is part of who God created you to be, and the world needs the woman who emerges from that. I tell the women that I work with all the time is that there's something unique in your pain. It wasn't in vain, and I made for the drown, but there's a purpose for your pain. There's a purpose for your voice. Everything that you have gone through in your life, everything, whether it was good, bad, indifferent, everything happened for a reason. Everything is connected and it has made you into the woman that you are today. And someone needs to hear your voice. Whether you think it's small or not, there's someone who needs to know what you've gone through because they may be going through the exact same thing and they need to know, how did you overcome that? How did you get through that? And you don't have to be 50 steps ahead of them. You can literally be one step ahead of them and bless someone's life with your story, with your voice, your unique voice, not someone else. Okay. If you spend years staying quiet, I want you to know something. Your voice still matters. Your thoughts still matter. Your perspective still matters. Your pain, your life, you still matter. Okay. Your dreams still matter. And it's not too late to start speaking again. It's never too late for that. And not because you need to become louder, but because you deserve to become your authentic self. You need to show up in a way that lets everyone know that you are here and that you are boldly taking up space, the space that God already created you to take up. I want you to know that you are not broken. You are becoming. Okay. I love to hear from you. What area of your life where you've been shrinking yourself? I want you to leave me a comment below. Okay. And also, I want you to download my self-discovery guide. It's a guide that gives you about 5 questions to help you really dive deep into who you are, to really reconnect with who you are and the woman that God created you to be. It takes you through these questions that really help you to reflect and to get back to you and to get back to God. Okay. If this message resonates with you, my book, Becoming Her, dives deeper into identity healing, confidence, boundaries, and returning to the woman God created you to be. And if you feel like you need deeper support in this transition of your life, in this journey of your life, and you want to work with someone who's been down this road, who has come out on the other side unscathed, thankfully, I thank God I don't look like what I've been through. Okay. But if you're looking for someone to go down this road with you and to help you along this journey, I want you to book a breakthrough call with me. And we'll talk about on the call where you are, where you want to be, and how I can help you to get unstuck. I'll definitely link that down below. Link that down below. The link for that. That was very repetitive. Anyway, don't mind me. Don't forget to subscribe weekly for conversations about faith, identity, setting boundaries, reclaiming your worth, your purpose, and becoming the woman that God created you to be. Because again, ma'am, you are not broken. You are becoming. Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.